go. All right. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, Vic Raw. I've been out of the mix. I've been in the cut. And I'm here to say what's up. I'm here with none other than Dream Girl. Dream Girl, can you, please introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? And how did you even get, in design to where you are today?
My artist name is Dream Girl, but my real name is Nina Simone. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. What got me into design was I took a lot of fine arts class in high school, and there was one special class that you could only get into if you signed up for AP, which was called AP Studio. I just signed up for it just because I just like the arts and I ran out of credits. So it ended up being a computer graphics class, and they were teaching me how to like dot the vectors and create a circle. I just thought that was boring. So I started doing my own thing and just playing around with what I could play around with, and now I'm here. I decided to go to college for it. I just graduated with my BFA in graphic design. So
congratulations. And
thank you.
let's take a deep dive into, like you got your, first of all, congrats, but second of all, like BFA, like graphic design. What pushed you to pursue that, career role in college? And, why did you say, okay, this is the best route for me compared to maybe like YouTube tutorials or maybe trying to learn things online?
I think my biggest interest was being a part of the artist community for a second. I feel like being an artist is about learning and continuing to learn. So being that my college only specialized in arts and they were interested in you crossing disciplines, and they didn't mind if you I took an aerial dance class. I took like wild classes. So that interests me the most because I felt like I learned from each aspect. And even the location, I was in Philadelphia. So yeah. I was center city, and like the mix of everything, like my campus was scattered in between buildings, just all over the place. Yeah. So I felt like that really helped me and inspired me to keep going and kept me inspired. But it also put me in the center of an arts community where I could go to the next class over and go to a music producer and talk to him about his work, or I could go downstairs to the fine arts department and talk to a painter, or talk to someone who did something else. So I'm grateful for everybody I met there, and I feel like that's what kind of pushed me to be there, right? Because I did enjoy freelancing for so long, but I did want to kind of do it. So.
Got you. You were more along the lines of you wanted to get an artist community together, and you wanted to join and you wanted to be a part of one, compared to you are already doing freelance. So let's backtrack a little bit. So you were doing freelance, and then you were like, okay, like, I want to, go to school, be around a community, learn and build, my skills. Prior to you going to school, like, how can you, walk us through like how your freelance experience was like before and after like school? And would you say that, you've definitely benefited and been able to like level up from that?
I feel like my freelance experience before school was very like rudimentary. It was like, okay, you need a flyer or you need an invitation. I kind of know how to put some words together. But during school, that was just something I did on my free time because because my teacher in high school was teaching computer graphics didn't mean she was interested in it. So she was very traditional artist. So she would literally be painting while we're supposed to be learning. I didn't learn professionally from her. I didn't learn professionally from anybody. When I got to my university, even then, they kind of taught me more about process than about like the actual software. Okay. So everything was kind of trial and error for me. And I'm happy to say that I started that early before I got to college, not expecting them to teach me everything. Because if I feel like the trial and error is kind of hard. People kind of fear the error part of trying and error, but I feel like learning early that's the part of learning, and that'll get you further if you
Yeah.
just experiment on your own and see what works, see what doesn't. Um, that got me further. So I kind of feel like I pushed myself further throughout my college experience more than my academics, honestly. My academics kind of taught me the basics of being like punctual, how to handle my business with professionals,
Yeah.
how to see, I think graphic design is kind of like seeing seeing that the line is off, seeing that this is a dot there, it's too lights to this,
Yeah.
that's not the right lighting. So I learned that, like the basics from them. But as far as pushing myself through freelance, I kind of did that on my own because I
Mhm.
really just enjoy creating. Like even
Right.
if I didn't have someone to freelance for, I was redesigning album covers. So
Mm,
yeah.
gotcha. And then this is like more of a tangent question. What would you say is like your favorite album cover of either 2021 or 2020?
My favorite album cover, that is so hard.
There's a
Um,
lot.
there's a lot. I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite album cover. I have favorite projects,
Okay.
but I don't think I have a favorite album cover. Because I feel like album cover art has become a little boring to me.
Interesting.
Um, but maybe that's because of the artists I listen to.
Okay.
Um, just who I listen to on a daily basis. Kind of like R&B artists. They kind of, just do the face and then that's it. You know,
Yeah.
or like hip hop. I feel like hip hop can get into it, but
Yeah.
it's still, it's the same grain, it's the same scratches, the plastic wrap over it. So maybe it's music I listen to, but
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to album covers, I'm always drawn to color.
Hmm.
So that'll probably be more towards Tyler the Creator,
Yeah.
or people with interesting color schemes that they seem to push throughout their work.
Yeah.
Probably draw me more to their album covers.
It's interesting that you even brought up Tyler the Creator. Like, I got the Flower Boy vinyl like up there. But like even, his most recent project, the Call Me If You Get Lost, like I just thought that, I mean, one, like he has good music, but like even if you're not really into the music, maybe it's not for you. It's like still aesthetically, like, kind of like the passport photo, kind of like how he did like what he did with like the Weeknd, where it's like they had like that brand where they are in costume like all the time, like, that hat or like that suitcase. So, but like going into and speaking about branding, how do you think you were able to brand yourself? Like why were people coming to you, like, over other people that were doing creative things? And if someone is starting out today, what tips and tricks would you provide to them to, help them establish their brand? Because at the same time, like there's a lot of design to go around, but at the same time, people need to know about you.
Yeah. I feel like what really pushes me as a designer and what can be a tip and trick for someone upcoming is, it's cliche to say, but like, be your authentic self. And another thing is really push back on what you believe is a good design choice.
Mm,
I know you would like to, like, people would like to share with people and like, how do you feel about this? Take in the advice and take in what they're saying. But if you feel strongly about the design choice you made, keep it.
yeah,
Because that could be something that someone says that is something different. And that could be the whole game changer.
right.
I feel like being at my university, I've learned that the most is that pushing back on my own ideas really helped me in the professional world, because now I spent my whole college career around the same professors, and they're kind of like, um, not in a bad way, but they're kind of stuck in their ways, if I want to say. They kind of
Mm,
stopped opening up, and they've kind of accepted their role as a professional. So like, they're kind of like, you come to me and this is kind of what you need to do, and I'm going to point you in my direction. But
Right.
Your art is your direction.
Right.
So what you want to do is most important. Um, whether you consider it bad after a few years or whatever, you can still say it's you at the end of the day. All my projects I pushed back, and people always say like you should change this or it will look better this way, but you have to realize what's critique and what's personal preference, because your personal preference is what sets you aside.
Right.
So you have to make sure you keep that about yourself, because it can be easy. I feel like a lot of artists are sensitive. A lot of artists are insecure.
Would you say
Insecurity.
a lot, or would you say all? Like, isn't
I could say
everyone?
all. I mean, you're very like, I don't want to share this, or I don't know about this, but just do it. Do it while you're anxious. Do it while you're. I mean, putting it out there is putting it out there. It's something you did, and now as long as you're proud of it, you should be putting it out there. I mean, that's how a lot of artists. I mean, if you look at your favorite artists, they were just putting things out there. Like
Hmm.
they focus on the project, they put all the details together, everything. They focus on something, and what they made is what they made, and they're proud of it. So you put it out, just put it out into the world. Like stop being nervous about what people are going to say, and stop asking people
Yo.
what they will want to see out of your work when it's your work.
Right.
Um, so
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So now, like, you talked a bit about branding, and you talked about like pushing back, like, on your art. Can you walk us through your creative process? And like, I ask a lot of designers, right? Like there's times when they're working with clients, and clients either give you full creative direction, or maybe they're like they want a little bit of input. And there's also times where, like you shared, right, you're working on like concept cover arts, or just projects that you're doing to express yourself, and in your free time and your downtime. Can you do those creative processes differ, and if so, can you elaborate a bit on those?
those creative processes do differ. Having creative control is something that can be scary for
Mm,
designers, and it could also be like so freeing. So bringing on projects from clients is always nerve-wracking, because you want to please the client, but you also deem yourself as an artist.
right.
So you're communicating for them, you're helping them bring their vision to life, but you also have a certain standard of work you want to put out there. Your name is attached to it at the end of the day, and
Hmm.
you want to put in your portfolio. So you want it to reach a higher ground than what you're on
Yeah.
always. So I feel like having creative direction is always a plus, but a lot of the times people come to designers, they don't, they just want, it's like a painter and they just grab the brush and they're like, I want you to do this, but like, do it for me. But it's like, you can't control my process. You can't control certain aspects of the work I'm putting in.
Right.
So you can give me a theme and you can give me what the project's about. You can send me the songs, but as far as creative direction, the artists themselves might limit themselves, because the designer has experience,
Hmm.
especially experience in just grabbing. I feel like designers like to grab a lot of photos,
Yeah.
grab from a lot of visuals all the time. Um,
Do the
like
little
me personally,
collage.
yeah, I love collaging. I personally love collaging. I'm already collaging things in my head as I'm looking through photos.
Yeah.
So I just genuinely like looking at photos. Music videos are big for me. I just started looking at different music videos, and you're limiting yourself because the artist knows best, essentially, and you
Right.
should be confident in the artist that you go to bring your vision to life. So you shouldn't be like nitpicking in their process, because then it'll just crash the whole thing. So my my stance on
No, you're good.
I,
You're good. No,
I,
it was more along the lines of like, you know, how does your creative process differ between you working with clients and you expressing yourself, like doing projects in your free time?
Okay, so that's
Or
how I feel about
you
clients.
still drop some gems, and we'll circle back to that.
Okay. Um, so yes, working with clients is a different process. Working by myself, I could, I feel like I work more of it as an artist. I feel like designers are kind of for the people,
Yes.
but as an artist, you know, you have to be constantly collecting, constantly visualizing, and I don't feel like I can crush out something new every day. But when I have the spark, I could get some of my best work done in an hour.
Yeah.
And I try to not, my creative process is more just keep learning. Keep, like, if you see like a heat map image and you're like, I love the way it looks every time I see it, look up how to do it and then try it out for yourself. And then if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And if it does, keep going.
Right.
Like, that's kind of how I work. And if I see a project or I'm like, oh, I kind of thought about this project in an entirely different way, because you know, you hear the name of the project and then you have your own vision, and then you see like them preview the cover art and you're like, this is so dry. You've had that moment and it's
Let's
just like,
talk about it.
and you're just like, this could be so much more elaborate. But
Yeah.
every time, everything doesn't have to be crazy collage like how I like to think about it.
Yeah.
Like how we were talking about earlier, Tyler the Creator, the simple postcard was just enough. I mean, even the colors and everything else looks very specific.
Right.
So as long as it's detail oriented, but I feel like a lot of stuff is just like stuck on the cover, or like certain typography is like popular, so I just like stick it on there, and I'm just like, so my creative process is just gathering, and it doesn't matter from where. And at a certain point, after I've gathered enough, it's like something clicks.
Right.
If that makes sense. And then I just work on it. So
that makes a lot of sense, and thank you for that. And so, like, circling back to, you know, some of the things that you dropped in your last answer, you know, it sounds like you know who you are. This is your brand. You have experience like pushing back on things like, hey, no, this is how it's gonna go. This is like my art. Now, my question is, have you ever fired a client before?
no, I've just simply put my foot down. I've never had to fire. Like, no.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, listen, this is what you're paying me for. You're paying
Not
for my
the full. Listen, sweetie.
this is what you're paying me for. Like, this is what you are hiring me for, is to lift this load off of you.
Right.
And use my expertise and what I've gathered to help you bring your vision to life. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say every client has been just like amazed by what I do, but that doesn't mean I didn't put, and that doesn't mean to anybody that they didn't put their all into it, or that they didn't fully encompass the vision. It's just that some people have they have their own vision in mind. And at the end of the day, we can't be in everybody's mind. So sometimes communication gets lost within clients, and sometimes they don't end up happy. And that's fine as well. But as long as you're confident in what you did, I still feel great. But sometimes when working with clients, the communication gets fuzzy. And at the end of the day, it starts to seem like they have something in their head that you just can't see. So sometimes that's okay to just be like, okay, listen, you're either going to give me creative control of this, or we're going to have to dead this. And I've never had to officially just like dead something, but I'd have had to like be like, guys, I got it. They're
Yeah.
like, I love your work, but I just want every little thing. Like, if you love my work, just love what I do. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, I have to have a heart to heart.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes.
No, that's beautiful. And what would you say are your favorite parts about freelancing and your least favorite parts about freelancing?
My favorite part about freelancing is being able to, I mean, that part where you get excited and you're like, oh, I know what to do with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh
Mm,
yeah, I know what I can do with this. And you get excited and then you're
looking
like,
like Dexter.
yeah. um,
DD.
so that's probably the most exciting part. It's like when you get an idea and like, it's almost like the person knows you can control this and you can just drive it your own way. Like you
Yeah.
even can tell when people just give you like a list or like a bullet, like I want this color, I want this feel, I know you can do it. And
Yeah.
you're like, I see it in my head. And then it's just like, yes. Um, but my least favorite part would probably be just like going back in and editing after a really long time.
Mm,
When people come back and are like, that's not the right orange. I kind of want it a little lighter, and just like the details are just being nitpicked at.
yeah.
But there aren't extreme, like there aren't like, oh, you accidentally erased half my head. Like that's a big detail. But it's
Yeah.
like if you just want that a little more yellow than what you see, I don't necessarily like, I feel like I mess it up the more I go back into it, if that
Mm,
makes sense. So if I'm going back into it, I'm just like, no, I feel like what I did in the moment, of course I do edits. Like, of course I do like, if it's not working for you, I got you. But
right.
um, I feel like going back into it continues to mess it up. Um, because the process was the process and then I didn't learn traditionally. So sometimes I do something really good
Yeah.
and I can never do it again, which I enjoy, which I enjoy about my process because it's like, okay, one and done. But also when someone's like, can you do that effect again? I'm like, I they think I'm lying. I'm like, I really don't know what I did. Because I literally click around and I experiment every time I do something. So
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I feel like the more I go back into it, I'm messing it up. So I really dislike that part of freelancing where they're like, can you
Mm.
go back and do this? Can you go back and do that? I'm like, no.
No, with a heart emoji. As we wind down, can you walk us through your tech stack? Meaning, like, what programs, what software, what like assistants, like plugins that you use to, make your design business go round.
Um, I use Photoshop, of course. Um, but I pretty much gather from every single thing. um, I don't know what else, what kind of tech, what kind of programs I probably use InDesign. When I'm
Okay.
doing magazine layouts, I use InDesign.
Mm,
I really don't use Illustrator at all. I use After Effects when I'm using like for videos or like I'm
yeah,
doing like an ad or cutting stuff up. I use After Effects and iMovie.
yeah,
And that's probably it. I use Adobe Types and I even, as far as type,
yeah.
I will literally scroll through all those bootleg type. The rougher the type to me, I'm just not for the bougie types. The rougher the type, the better it looks because it just doesn't look like anything else. So I will scroll through 1,000 fonts on one of those bootleg like 1,001 fonts. You'll
Yeah,
find a good one. I mean, there's always going to be like pages and pages of like what's going on,
diamond in the rough.
but you'll find one and you're like, yeah, this fits with that. And
Yeah,
then when you experiment with it, you could do whatever you want with it. But yeah, as far as type, I mean, I get my basics from like Typekit, but
got you.
I'll go online and look up anything. like any keyword and put font behind it, and then I'll scroll for days. Like it's definitely like a research type of based thing when it comes to my type, because I'm just like
Okay.
looking around, but everything else is Adobe basically.
Nah, like fonts are definitely huge, and it's like you said, like if you go searching, and I think one of the biggest things about fonts is having a font that no one can recognize, because it's like like I mean you're a designer, so it's pretty much like, oh, like that's Helvetica, or that's Impact, or that's
Mhm,
this, or you're
mhm.
like, man, they could have got like more
Yeah,
creative with that. Like, come on, man.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, coming to a close, who are your biggest inspirations, and are there any other questions that that you would wish to answer, or any other things that you would love to share with like the design community?
I feel like my biggest inspirations will probably be, um, I would say color. I'm really drawn to color. And
Mm,
that's not a person, but I could see colors together and picture something completely different.
yeah.
So I guess you could say color schemes.
Okay.
Um, and that
Palettes, all of
probably
that.
palettes and all of that. I feel like I like contrasting things, but I also like the muted type of color schemes. I like them all,
Yeah.
but when I'm drawn to them, I feel inspired the most to like put them together, because when I think about collage and putting photos together, I'm always looking at the lighting of the photo to see if they could actually work, because you don't
Right.
want to do all the tweaking on the lighting. So I feel like I look at color before anything, before what's even in the photo, because I'm like, could the colors of these things work and blend nicely if I put them together? So
Mm,
probably color, but as far as people, it'll probably be anybody who's just like really confident about any work, or someone who is just like in everything and just is always learning about everything. Um, some names would probably be like Tyler, the Creator. He's like always trying to learn, always trying to go somewhere, always trying to, like, he's working on furniture, he's working on shoes, like he's working on
yeah.
everything. Wow. So that's a place I will one day want to be in. And
Furniture?
anything. I mean, if anyone was like, if I had the resources and someone was like, how would you make a cool chair? I'd be like, I make a cool chair. Like, I'll try. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I'm willing to try anything, and I want to be in that place where people just trust my creative vision to just try it and just open the studio up to me.
Yeah.
Um, and like somebody with like a lot of confidence and just kind of like attitude. I like attitude. I like people that talk trash. They inspire me because it's like
So
you.
you like yay. You like yay.
I don't know if I like. I don't know if I like. I love. I mean, everybody's going to say this, but I love Younger Ye.
Who?
But I mean, I like that he just says what he wants, and it's like if you take it, you take it. You don't, you don't. But more, I feel more like Rico Nasty, more of like the women of today, like the
Yeah.
women artists. It's just kind of like, this is how I feel, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. So that's kind of what inspires me. Like, do what you feel is right for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, it's interesting that you even brought up like Rico Nasty, because like, I know you say you were inspired by colors, but I feel like with her cover art, with like her music videos, like she has like contrast, and like, I mean, she's just a dynamic character regardless. So it just like all fits in with her brand. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. But man, it's been a pleasure having you on, Nina. I don't know if you had any like additional tips and tricks that you wanted to share with the community.
Um,
All right,
I
that's cool.
Thank you for having me.
Gracias, gracias. Thank you so much.